Movies with my best friend.
Welcome to Movies with My Best Friend Jack, a movie podcast for people who are afraid of Jude Law's mechanical penis. I'm your host, Jack Kessel, and I'm joined by my best
So proud of you.
by my best friend, Craig Norland.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
And my other best friend, Will Chodas.
Hey, Jack. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah? How's the house going?
The house is good. You know,
Yeah.
we're really just getting rid of a lot of things
Yeah.
right now. A lot of things that are just not needed. Just,
Like
you know,
Phil?
Yeah, you know, kind of like this podcast
Excess
where
hosts.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of and cleaning things up.
Yeah, it's really... And that can be really lethargic. It's always great when
Did
you
y'all
like...
rehearse that? Did you text about this? Because that just like... That happened real smooth, and I don't think I liked it.
Hey, who's this? Who else is here? I didn't notice there's another person there.
Are you going to introduce
Oh,
me?
right.
Yeah, Phil's here too, you guys.
Yay.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast. We're glad to have you as a guest.
Yeah.
Thanks
This
for
is
joining
perfect
us.
because
Yeah.
I'm starting out as the villain, and
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I might finish as the villain on this one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, is it time for the part of the podcast where we tell everyone what's in our wallets, or do we need to
I
do
think.
some more small talk?
I mean, I
No,
think
I
it's
think-
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's time. So, who's got a wallet?
I mean, my wallet is in my pocket.
Is it over there? Oh, okay.
Oh, what's in
Do we
your
wanna-
wallet?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Phil, what's
Yeah,
what you got in
come on,
that wallet over there?
So this is gonna sound insane
Yeah.
to friends of the show. I read a book.
Prove it.
So I don't have the book on me.
What would
I
that prove?
swear it exists. It is called Sleeping Giants. It is by Sylvain Neuvel. It is a sci-fi book that I guess I would. I feel like Sheba is going to be the one knocking the
she is-
chords on this one.
Yeah, she is sleeping on the cord, but I think she'll be all right. Okay, continue.
Hopefully they can hear it.
Yeah. Just the dog breathing.
Yeah, through the cord. So it is a sci-fi book. So giant robots, and that's probably all you need to know.
Okay.
But if you wanted more,
Yeah.
it starts out a girl
You're
falls
really
through like a hole.
proving that you read the book.
Yeah, and there's words and stuff, and it has an ending probably. I don't remember it.
Punctuation marks, etc.
So this girl falls through a hole in the earth and lands on a 25-foot giant hand made of metal. And then fast forward 15 years later,
Superman.
there's a lot of Iron Giant vibes in this book. And there's a lot of I got some Arrival movie vibes and Pacific Rim and a political thriller.
Huh.
House of Cards, but not quite House of Cards.
With robots. I mean, that's really what House of Cards was missing.
I
And
would agree.
It was also missing Kevin Spacey.
It was missing that.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Speaking of people we're not missing.
Phil.
Hey, that's right. That's you.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, it's a good book. I did read it. It is the first of a trilogy. So I'm going to go pick up the second one. And then I bet that's going to be my recommendation next week.
Is the next one called Munchkin Land?
No, it's called Waking Gods. Sleeping Giants, Waking Gods.
Oh, Sleeping Giants, Waking Gods.
What's the third one called?
I
Knocking
don't
Out
remember.
Moses.
Yeah, I think
Don't
that's
know
what the
why.
third one's. 100%. The third one is called Knocking Out Moses. I one last thing. I really like. It's a really quick read because the whole book is structured in interviews and news reports and
Quick question.
journal entries.
When you were reading this, were you hearing the voices out loud and seeing the people talking, and was it on your television?
Yeah, did you read this one?
I did read this one.
No,
Oh, okay.
but I feel like it would make for a pretty good.
I'm sure
movie.
someone would figure out how to ruin it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Guarantee that.
I'm excited for somebody to ruin this story.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about every book I read.
Yeah. Yep. It could happen.
Mhm.
Well, anyways, Sleeping Giants. Go read it or don't.
Wow. All right.
I don't care.
Yeah. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I mostly forgot how to read.
I thought I did too. And then
yeah.
I read this whole book. I was so proud of myself. I cried. So anyways, Craig,
I kind of hope not.
Hi.
what's open your billfold and let the contents fall unto us.
Oh, okay.
Ew.
I'm into it.
So my billfold contains a movie this week, and
It's a big billfold.
it's a big one. It's a movie called The Sea Beast, and it's on Netflix, and it is a animated movie.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise!
Interesting.
Craig's watching cartoons.
Never would have guessed.
So yeah, it just came out, but it's the director is Chris Williams, who he directed Bolt and Big Hero 6, and then he co-directed Moana.
I love Big Hero 6 so much.
Big Hero 6, yeah, exactly.
I love Moana.
Same.
Yep.
Oh, Sea Beast. Yes, I have seen this. Not seen it,
Not
but
seen
seen
it, but
the
seen the-
picture for it.
Honestly, I hadn't heard anything about it, and all of a sudden, like Rotten Tomatoes, it was getting like a 94%, and a lot of people, it had good word of mouth for being not like a big thing. It wasn't released in theaters or anything, but it's animated by Sony, who did like Hotel Transylvania and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, among other things, like Spider-Man. And it's a really the story is somewhat similar to How to Train Your Dragon. It has a little bit of Moana in there, but it's just about this little girl who stows away on this ship, and it's like pirates, but they're not actually pirates. They're hunters. They all hunt these beasts in the ocean, and just like it's their job for the government, and nobody asks questions why. And so that's the basic gist of it, but the animation's really great. The action
Let me guess.
Yeah.
They keep going, and when they start hunting the beast, they're like, oh, you know what? This is a great way to make a lot of money. And they keep killing more and more. And they start an enterprise, and it's all about capitalism and how capitalism is good.
Yes,
Oh,
that is
okay,
exactly
good.
what
Ah,
happens.
good.
Yep.
Perfect.
I was a little worried it might go the other way, but yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
So what I like too, beside like the action is like it's shot really well. It's hard to describe, but like I like the action. It's really kinetic on how everything moves. And again, I can't. It's hard for me to explain exactly what that means, but I was just watching it, and just seeing how you feel. I don't think the story's like the best part of it, but it has a lot going for it for being a Netflix movie. It's got Carl Urban is one of the main guys, and Jared Harris plays the captain. So yeah, check it out.
Are there musical numbers?
No,
Oh.
it is purely an action movie type thing.
Is it, I'm asking for my 2-year-old and also a little bit for me, is it scary at all?
No, if your 2-year-old likes big monsters,
Okay.
it's great. There's also cute little monsters.
Oh, okay. Because he's like iffy on Land Before Time, because sometimes the sharp teeth are too scary.
No, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
No.
But then other times he's like, bring Chomper back.
I like Chomper.
Yeah.
He's a little purple one, right?
Yeah.
Ew, you watched past the first one?
The first one is too scary. The first
for
one is
sure.
like really scary.
Yeah.
First one is a bummer.
Yeah. And the only one he wants to watch is the second one because it has Chomper. And I think Chomper does come back, but that was after my time of being into Land Before Time.
I think I
I
only watched the first.
I've only seen the first. I remember when they started advertising for the sequels when I was a kid, and I'm like, what this shit? I'm not going to watch these. These look like garbage.
Oh, see, I think like I got into the second one probably before I got into the first one, you
I
know?
think I'm the same
Oh,
as you.
Yeah. Just because like my parents would be like, hey, I rented this. Stop talking to me. Okay. Hey, can you rent another one? Fine. Just still don't talk to me. you know how it goes. I'm a
Classic.
parent now. I kind of
Yeah.
get it.
Land Before Time is how I learned Roman numerals.
Oh, I learned Roman numerals from Hercules
Oh, that makes sense.
because they say call IXII. And I was like, I don't get that joke.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, it's Roman numerals for 911. And I'm like, explain further. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Read a book, nerd.
Anyways.
I don't know where I learned Roman numerals.
I'm shocked I know.
It's a weird thing to remember.
Anyway, sounds like a fun movie, though.
Yeah. No, like I said, I highly recommend it. Better than Lightyear.
Oh, really? Was it not? What?
Lightyear was very mediocre. Like when I was watching it, I went to the movies with Pete, and when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, this is fun." And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I guess that wasn't like compared to what they've been putting out. Like Luca was really good, and Turning Red was really good too. And they didn't put those in theaters. They didn't have enough faith in those movies. And they're like, "Oh, well, Buzz Lightyear is so big, we'll put him in theaters." And I think a lot of people were pretty meh on this one.
Yeah, but more people are going to go see a movie called Buzz Lightyear than.
Yeah, I know.
Luca.
That's just how marketing works.
Luca
Mhm.
was amazing.
Yeah, that movie
Luca
was
was so good.
real good.
Yeah.
Lencio Bruno. It's my favorite part.
Yeah. So check it out. Again, it's on Netflix, so it's really easy to find.
Cool.
Nice.
Will,
Yeah.
what is in your wallet?
Oh my God. I didn't think you'd ask me that.
That's wild.
Yeah. No, I've been watching a TV show that is, I think I've been watching it on Hulu, but I think it came out on FX. Fargo?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I recently, I had watched just the first season and had meant to watch more, but then didn't. This isn't a story. And I, so now I've watched season 2, season 3, and I'm in the middle of season 4. And
They don't. There's no like storyline from one season to another, right?
No, it's so there are characters who will like pop up or be mentioned. Like there is an old man in the first season who's the dad of the main character of Molly, who is the main character in the second season. So like there's that connection. And then in the third season, there is one of the characters from the first season shows up. But for the most part, you don't really need to see the other. It's just like fun little weird Easter eggs, you know?
Now, do they reference the actual movie?
Yes, I know of one specific. Like at one point, Ewan McGregor's character is like, well, we should take it over to Stan Grossman and get him to invest, which is a character from. But yeah, no, I mean, I like it because every single season, I like anthology series. I'm realizing because I've mentioned this before, but like the fatigue of like having something that just keeps going and keeps going. It's like I don't like. It's cool when it's something like Marvel or like Star Wars or a couple of things, but like seriously, everything is like what happened last season? Why do I can't remember? So. This is cool because everything is like, it's always like there's somebody who's really good at crime and there's somebody really bad at crime. And then there's a cop and then you just smush all of it together. You know, it's always just like people like accidentally killing the wrong person, stealing from the wrong person. And then a lot of Midwestern isms, like people saying, you want a pop? I'll take a diet pop. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm into it. The only complaint I do have is every single season seems to end with the same sort of like, I don't know, good thing that, good thing this small town cop was here to save the day from all these big city criminals. And so it's a little propaganda-y. It's like, it feels a little bit like all it takes to stop a bad guy with a gun is one good guy with a gun from South Dakota.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's kind of every single episode. And then, and I'm watching the 4th season now, which takes place in like the 50s, I want to say. And like,
Is that the one with Chris Rock?
Chris Rock in it, yeah. Okay. This one feels the biggest departure, and I'm fine with that because, you can only tell the same story so many times because it's like Kansas City mobs, but everyone is just crazy racist. So that's sort of, but like, what's interesting is it's in a time when Italians weren't considered white people either. So like they're racist, like people are racist towards the Italians in it as well. And you're like kind of, as a white person, we kind of forget that Italians and Irish got upgraded to white, but they weren't always.
Yeah.
But there was like, but you still have, Chris Rock's character is part of like the Black Mafia or whatever, the Kansas City Mafia. And it's still worse for them, obviously. But yeah. Anyways, it's interesting.
So wait, are they in Kansas City the whole time, or is it up in Fargo?
So I don't think any of them take place in Fargo. There's always like a character who came down from Fargo, or they passed through Fargo. Sort of like in the movie. The movie's like that too. Mm-hmm. I don't think. Yeah, most of them take place in like either Minnesota or South Dakota is.
Well, do anybody go back to Brainerd?
I don't know. I'm not great with names and geography in real
I'm gonna
life.
Grill you on this show. Sorry, Will.
I'm not great with that. And so when they say those parts, I'm like, there's somewhere else now. Now there's somewhere else.
No, this show's been on my list for a long time.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I love the movie so much. But I was like, this isn't like really. I knew it was a continuation of the movie, which is a good thing and a little bit of a bad thing in my head.
Yeah, to me it's a great thing because it's like you're just getting a Fargo story over and over again, and it's not like we don't get to find out, what everyone did after it, because like who cares,
Well, less of like the missing the characters, and more of like the Coen touch to it.
Yeah, these I think it's Coen-esque, but they do make a lot of like bold choices. Like there's always some weird unexplained thing. Like in the second season, like a couple times characters will look out a window and just see a UFO go by, and it's just sort of like what? And then like and yeah, it's just like that sort of other like slightly otherworldly tall tailiness that kind of comes to the surface. And then at another point, like in the third season, I'm pretty sure the one character talks with the devil. But it's like what
is going on?
Yeah, but it's not so much like, hi, I'm Satan, nice to meet you. It's like
he's
like,
not Midwestern then.
No, he's the guy who always plays the devil. The guy from Twin Peaks, the dad,
Ray Wise.
Yes.
Why did I know that already?
Because I said the guy who always plays the devil.
Before that, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the guy who always plays the devil. I'm like, oh, it's Ray Wise.
Yeah. Anyways.
Jack.
Yeah.
Dost thou have anything in your wallet?
Yes. I would recommend Where the Crawdad Sings, which is a book by, oh God, I don't remember her first name, but I believe her last name is Owens. So it's actually got turned into a movie through Reese Witherspoon's like production company that's coming out this weekend, and I'm very excited for it because it's a really good book, and as I was reading it, I could visualize it really well, so I think it's going to make a very good movie. But what it is, it's about this girl Kaya who is like raised in the back swamps of North Carolina, and at like age 7, she's pretty much just abandoned. And she raises herself in the back swamp and learns to live off the land. And it's kind of her journey into adulthood. And it's really a good story. It's like a really good coming of age story. Like she ends up getting like a doctorate from university because of her knowledge of like plant life and like marine biology life within the swamp of where she's in North Carolina. It's just overall a really good story. I remember I read the book last year, and I remember it being like just the best book I read last year. And like still to this day, I don't know if I've read a better book since then. Just in terms of like genuinely a good book. Like I read a lot of rom-coms, which are very easy to digest and fun to read. But this was a good book all the way around. Like critically acclaimed good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delia Owens.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Or go see the movie this weekend if you don't like to read books. It might be good. It might be a disappointment.
Is it called the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So And the girl in it is Daisy Jones.
Duke.
No, maybe it's not Daisy Jones. It's Daisy something, but she was in a TV show on Hulu last year that was really good. So I'm excited to see what she can do.
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yeah, thank you.
What was the show?
Normal People.
I've heard of it.
Also a good book. Also a good TV show.
Triple recommendation.
Too many books.
Yeah, what is this, a book podcast now?
Yeah.
2 book recommendations?
Yeah, let's get
Let's get talking about movies
Yeah.
that we all love.
We
What about
saw.
movies based off of short stories?
Hey, let's do that. Our
Okay.
second one in a row, because we watched.
I don't
The
like
Time
Indian, I'm
Machine.
not
Oh, last
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
wait. What did we watch this time?
artificial
The Time
intelligence.
Machine.
Oh,
What was it?
AI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Time Machine.
The Time
Yeah,
Machine.
Time
Okay.
Machine.
Oh wait.
Can I just say, before we do anything, my favorite tidbit about this whole movie is that they called it AI, and then they started like, I think they were just doing promotion for it, and people are like, A1? Like, no, it's not about steak sauce. They're like, oh God, we have to call this AI artificial intelligence because people are so goddamn stupid.
They should have had a scene with a jar of steak sauce or a bottle of steak sauce in it just to do it.
All right. So AI, artificial
Hey,
intelligence.
it's the name of the movie.
Also known as AI, is a 2001 American science fiction film directed by Steven Spielberg. The screenplay is by Steven Spielberg, and the screen story is by Ian Watson, which were both based off a 1969 short story, Super Toys Last All Summer Long, by Brian Aldiss. So the film was produced by Kathleen Kennedy, Spielberg, and Bobby Curtis. It stars Haley Joel Osment, Jude Law, Francis O'Connor, Brendan Gleeson, and William Hurt. This is just directly off of Wikipedia, and I thought was interesting. So the development of AI originally began with producer-director Stanley Kubrick after he acquired the rights to the story in the early 1970s. So Kubrick hired a series of writers until the mid-1990s. The film languished in developmental hell for years, partially because Kubrick felt computer-generated imagery was not advanced enough to create the David character whom he believed no child actor would convincingly portray, which is interesting. In 1995, Kubrick handed it AI to Spielberg, but the film did not gain momentum until he died in 1999. So then, So Spielberg tried to remain close to Watson's film treatment for the screenplay. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that like this movie has like that really long history to it. Speaking of really long, it is 146 minutes long, $95 million budget, $235 million at the box office, which is pretty good. What do you guys think this movie did on Rotten Tomatoes?
If it's anything less than 100%, throw him in jail.
Okay.
89.
Craig?
I'm gonna say like let's go 79.
You said 89?
Yeah.
Craig has it 75%. You guys
Straight to
know.
jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
64% with the audience. So the audience liked it less.
Send them all to
I
jail.
remember this coming out, and part of the reason I never saw it is because people were not like high on this movie. This was not a
Yeah, I don't remember this being like, oh, Spielberg's done it again.
Yeah, I wasn't really like paying attention to a lot of his movies at that point. It took me forever to see Catch Me If You Can and
That's a great
Minority
movie.
Report, which
Both
are great
good.
movies.
Spielberg for me has always been an invisible director. Like all other directors, I've been able to like, sort of the auteur director, you can kind of like see from far away. But Spielberg always felt invisible to me. Like it was one of those things where it was like, wait, that's a Spielberg movie? Oh, and so is that? Oh, he just makes the movies that everybody likes, huh?
I mean, didn't he coin the summer blockbuster?
I was just about to say, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Jaws like made the summer blockbuster. So I don't know. He's doing him is just doing the popular blockbuster movie.
Which this was not.
This one apparently was not. So other films that came out, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Yes, Hannibal, Planet of the Apes, Jurassic Park 3, Pearl Harbor, The Mummy Returns, Rush Hour 2, Monsters, Inc., Shrek, and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
My God, what a year!
What? There was like
so many movies.
half really good, half really bad.
I'm pretty sure I had every single one of those movies on VHS in my family's van.
That was half really good, half really bad. All my childhood,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like all the movies that I actually remember.
Yeah, I think the only one in there I didn't watch was Hannibal, because that would have been...
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
No.
Yeah, that was not a movie of my childhood.
Me either.
That'd
I was
be
like-
I'm
weird.
surprised this is a movie
Yeah.
that you
So-
watched.
Yeah.
Jack, you picked this movie.
Yes.
Why did you pick this movie? Well, technically, we picked this movie, didn't we?
Why
I
don't
gave
you
you
give
guys
the
a
option?
choice.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And the thing was because we watched The Time Machine, which I had seen as a kid and like just completely misremembered the whole thing. That movie's garbage. And I was like, well, what if there are other movies from my childhood that I'm misremembering that are also sci-fi, because that's kind of the running theme. And so I thought of AI, which remembered a lot of it, honestly. But
Same.
yeah. But
I
also,
think-
I don't know why I was allowed to watch that as a kid. Like, that's a deeply disturbing movie
Yeah.
at points.
Yeah, this is not a movie for. I was 11 at the time. You would have been 10.
Yeah.
This was not a movie for 13 and under.
Yeah, I probably didn't watch it the year it came out.
No, it would have been on TV when I watched it.
Yeah,
think we
or
rented
or
it.
rented.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think our parents were very much like, what's it say? PG-13? That means it's made for 13-year-olds. And so like you like watch it, you're like, this is boring and weird and kind of creepy, and I don't know what Jude Law is talking about at all.
Nope.
I will say, better than Bicentennial Man.
Which I also saw at that time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That one was one that I was like, this is boring and weird, and I don't like it.
Yes. I was, yeah.
Both movies with Robin Williams in it.
Yeah.
So, Jack, how did you feel about this movie?
I actually want to hear Craig's opinion first because
Okay.
he's the only one who had never seen it before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good
That's
idea.
fair.
Yeah.
So with no prior memories, I kept having to ask Phil if he's all right because there are so many disturbing parts of this movie that I can't believe anyone at the age of 10 or 11 would have come out on the other side all right.
And here I am.
Yeah.
All right or not all right?
Point proven.
We'll never know.
This was like 3 different movies mashed into one. And I think part of that has to do with you had a couple different writers, which isn't that abnormal for a movie to go through quite a few different writers or screenplays treatments. But, you have Kubrick's vision and then you have Spielberg taking it over. And I feel like Spielberg was trying to honor Kubrick's vision part way, but not all the way. And so apparently a lot of the darker tone stuff was Spielberg, and the lighter tone stuff was Kubrick, which people assumed was the other way around.
So on average, though, like, how did you feel? I feel like we still haven't gotten like.
I know. I tend to ramble. I'm sorry. I liked it just because I feel like besides the ending, which felt really tacked on.
Yeah,
and,
we could get to the ending in a bit.
yeah.
I think we might save that
I
for Spoiler Town.
really liked the beginning. Just like I said, it was like the besides the ending, it was 2 different movies because it really just as soon as he leaves.
So yeah, the story of this is that it's in the future where most of the world is underwater or something.
Waterworld 2.
Yeah, so people can't have as children like they used to. Like,
It sounded like they needed a ticket.
Yeah, they need, like, a license.
Yeah, you needed a license, and a lot of people weren't getting a license. So there's also robots, which were fairly believable robots, but still like not like artificial,
Still
actually
strictly robots.
Yeah. And so cut to a family whose situation is not the one that they just described, which is somebody who couldn't get a license to have a kid. We now have a family who has a kid in a coma, And the dad, Henry, who I think we can all agree is the true villain.
Yeah, he's a
Ye-
dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the beginning. We get this sort of like idea of like, oh, we're in the world where there's robots and everyone's underwater and no one can have babies. Okay, here's our main characters. It's Monica and Henry. They have a son in a coma. So Henry goes, I know what I'll do. I won't tell my wife I'm doing this, but I'm going to go to the robot boy store and bring a robot boy home, and that'll make my wife happy. It didn't make my wife happy. I don't know anything about anything. Right?
Yeah.
Basically. And
She
then
did eventually get attached.
so she eventually got attached to him, but I the whole time was like, yeah, I don't know how you would, because he is unsettling. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was, and Haley Joel Osment, I think, did a great job
Oh my
of just
God,
being
yeah.
the creepiest, weirdest
Yes.
little boy. And
he looked
yeah,
inhuman.
yes. And then when she imprints on him, which is
Or
like this
acted,
weird
not looked.
process, which was like how you awake the Winter Soldier. I think it was the same process. And he starts calling her mommy instead of Monica. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like activated his latent personality and he's going to become a real boy. Nope. Still a creepy little sociopath walking around being terrifying the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole time we were like, this is supposed to be creepy, because we're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to like it. And I think it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically the premise, is that this family gets a little boy to replace their little boy in the coma. And then the little boy in the coma comes out of the coma. So now they have two little boys. And it's very much, those families who are like, I'm going to get a dog because people on television have dogs, but I actually don't know anything about dogs. And I got little kids. And this dog just like growled at my kid because my kid stuck its finger up its butthole.
Yeah, I know those. Yeah, I
do
know
know
those families.
that.
For
And
sure.
then they're like, oh, the dog growled. There must be something wrong with my dog because it's not acting like a sentient stuffed animal. Let's get rid of the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That
do
was
know
basically Henry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
except for this was a robot boy.
That was fully Henry, and then also the mom seemed to go along with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, she still had a lot of regret, but
She
yeah,
had
it
a lot
was-
of regret.
It was still pretty much, she was like, well, you are a robot. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't believe that the whole imprinting thing with her, because it went from she's freaked out by this robot, and then like a scene later after he starts laughing.
laughing at her, yeah, he does the least cute, most unsettling thing ever, where she has like a little bit of spaghetti, and which apparently is funny. I don't find it funny. I think it's gross. Get the food off your face. You're a grown person.
She put way too much spaghetti on that forkful.
Yeah. And he just blurts out, ah, really loudly.
It's like Final Fantasy X
Yes,
level
it's
laughing.
Titus and Yuna. And then they all kind of like start laughing awkwardly, and then he just immediately stops.
Yeah.
And then
So
from that
weird.
point on, she's like, "Oh, maybe I
he
could."
is a real boy.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and
still no, still not a real boy.
yeah, and it's like, "Oh, I'm going to activate him."
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't really buy. And also, it felt like the impetus was all on the mother. Like, I mean, everything's about the mom.
That's true.
There's nothing about the dad.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't interact with the dad at all.
Yeah, he calls him Henry. He
Yeah.
doesn't call him dad.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Henry does not imprint.
Yeah, because Henry very much views him as an object, like as
Yeah.
like a just a
Just
Thing
something
he
picked
to
up.
make his
Really a
wife
toy.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A toy for her.
Yeah, something to make her feel better and stop
Yeah.
being so sad about their dying child, because that's a problem to Henry, that his wife is sad about their dying child.
yes,
He's a great guy.
yeah, he's really great.
He's a real protagonist type.
So basically, what's their kid's name?
Martin.
Martin.
Martin. Martin's a dick.
Yeah.
But like
Martin's
like,
a real Henry, if you know what I
he's
mean.
a real.
I don't know.
This
I
thought
basically
he
was just a little boy.
He
to
was
me.
a little
Yeah.
boy, but this almost turned into the good son. So if anyone knows what I'm talking about,
No.
okay.
No.
There is an early '90s movie with Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin, where
Oh, I know of this now
Yeah.
that you've said it.
Elijah Wood is the cousin visiting this family, and Macaulay Culkin is a fucking sociopath, psychopath, whatever you want to call him. But he is like tries to kill his baby sister a couple times in the movie. And
Jeez.
Elijah Wood is like begging his aunt and uncle to believe him that their son is insane.
Oh boy, that would stress me
So
out.
that's not quite this
No,
because
no.
Martin only like sets the kid up to like seem like he's a sociopath a couple
Yeah.
times, but it's
Yeah.
not like
And then he
No,
just
no,
becomes
no.
a bystander. He's like not as mean at the pool scene.
yeah, he actually kind of defends
Yeah.
Yeah.
David a couple times. David's the robot boy played
Yes.
by Haley Joel Osment.
So someone doesn't stab him in the arm, David, but he pricks him on the arm to see what his pain receptor is like, and
Yeah.
he grabs
Martin,
Martin,
his brother.
and he's like,
Quote,
"Protect me,
unquote.
protect me, protect me!" And he falls backwards into the pool. And Martin, he can't use his legs, so he can't swim.
No, he was using
He was using his legs
to-
at that point, but he was
Oh,
being
okay.
pulled underwater
By a robot.
another person, and you.
I feel like he wasn't swimming, so it made me think that he didn't have like
The
the
leg
He probably
capability.
doesn't have much leg strength because he was like in like braces, but like, when somebody grabs you like that and pulls you underwater, it's like people can turn into dead weight and they can drown you quick. It's so
Well, you figure that 4 grown men should be able
to lift both of them, yeah. But no, instead they like pull him off.
They try and pry.
yeah. Which
Maybe he's heavier than he looks.
yeah, that could
David.
be it.
I mean, he's made of like metal, I'm assuming. So maybe he is super heavy.
I don't know. The Dr. Hobby picks him up at the end, seemingly
Oh yeah,
easily.
super
so-
Yeah.
easily. And Henry shakes him at one point.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah,
never mind.
William
They should
Hurt is
definitely-
actually superhuman strength,
okay.
so
oh,
okay.
you're right. I
not the
forgot.
character, the actor. So they just ran
I
with
always
it.
forget about that, and
Yeah.
that's in his clauses
So-
that every character he plays
Yeah.
is also superhumanly strong.
Phil, how did you feel about this movie? Because you seem to be having a grand old time
Okay.
the whole time.
I think for this movie we have to go through the rest of it
yeah.
just so we can reference it because there's stuff I have to say.
Yeah, okay.
still.
All right. So then, do we want to head into Spoiler Town then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's drive right in. Let's pull on through.
Yeah.
The
So-
light is green.
Yeah, so
the
they
pool
were-
thing happens.
And so then she harries in the Hendersons,
Yes.
David,
Yeah.
where she's like, "Leave, no, leave," and he's
you
like,
suck. You're just a dumb Bigfoot.
"Yeah,
We're like, that doesn't make any
we
sense.
didn't want
It's
you.
like,
We don't
what?
love you anyways." And then
Well,
she drives away.
It's weird though because
But you
she,
can have Teddy.
she doesn't lie to him about it. She tells him the truth because she could have just been like, "Oh, we're gonna have a picnic here in the woods. Let me go back and get the plates or something."
See, it's interesting that you said that because actually, her telling him I was like, "Oh, that's cruel." Like she should have said nothing to him. But having seen the end of this movie, he would have just sat there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
So her actually saying like you need to like leave and find a life and do something else is actually like
Oh, by the way, don't go to
the-
these. What is it called? The flesh.
The flesh fair.
The flesh fair.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the world. It's all f***ed up, but whatever. Don't do
Don't
this,
go to
this,
the
this,
flesh
and
flare.
this.
Don't
Flesh
go
flare.
to the flesh flare.
All
The flare
people
blower.
are evil.
Yeah.
Only trust robots.
Only
and
trust
then
robots. Yeah.
she nopes out of there.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, hang on, say the flesh fair part again. What was that? What was that? No, you didn't
Oh,
explain. Oh
Uh,
no! All right, Teddy, do you know anything about this? Hi, I'm Teddy.
Yeah. Teddy's still the best part of this movie.
Yes, I'll get hurt.
And then he doesn't.
Then he does it. And he's like, well, okay, all right, Teddy, you're being dramatic.
And so
Classic Teddy.
we're introduced, and that's like the end of Act 1.
Yes,
And start of Act 2 goes right to Gigolo Joe.
which
Yeah.
is Jude Law's character.
Yeah.
Who looks very plastic, like
Yes.
more
Yeah.
plastic.
So, yeah, all the robots. I noticed this with Haley Joel Osment's character, David. Like his face was like shiny.
yeah.
And like as somebody who shoots, who does interviews with people, like usually when you see that shine, you're like, make it go away.
Yeah,
you know
you
what
did
I
a
mean?
bad job.
But it's not like so shiny that like he looks like he's plastic. It's just like more like he's like little like bit greasy or not quite greasy, but just like too smooth or something.
yeah.
Apparently they shaved him all over his body so he looked more unreal.
Who?
Haley Joe Osment.
Oh yeah. I mean that makes sense.
It worked.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Jude Law. I was like, we didn't see anything but his head, but I love the commitment.
Well, yeah, we do cut to Jude Law with like plastic hair explaining to this woman that he's super good at sex and that she shouldn't be worried because his penis isn't going to hurt. Even
His
though it's a
robot
robot penis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's a gigolo. His name is Gigolo Joe.
Gigolo
What do
Joe.
you know?
And he can move his head sideways and then like old timey music plays.
Yes.
Which
So-
is kind of weird because it goes
Yes.
like a clicking
Yeah.
noise.
That would be
So
my
I have to
superpower.
say that this movie, like starting with this, like this was my favorite section of the movie.
Yeah.
Was when they get into like the robot world. This movie has the best depiction of robots I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like all movies with robots in them, they're basically human beings. You know what I mean? Like Star
Yeah.
Wars, C-3PO, R2-D2, basically human beings, you know?
They're basically human beings, or their entire purpose is for us to get the joke that they're robots and them not to get the joke that they're robots.
Yes. And it's always artificial intelligence that's like just matched or superior to human intelligence. But this movie has artificial intelligence that's dumber than us, which to me feels like if they're ever going to be robots, that's how they're going to act.
Yeah.
Because like Jude Law's character, like, you know, he gets framed for murder, which is like never really explained why that happened other than the guy wanted to kill this person and then just figured,
I assumed it was like she was his wife
yes.
Yeah.
and there was a love affair with the robot Jude
Ah.
Law, and that's why he
But
murdered
he
her.
like leans over, he like does this whole spiel of like being like, hey, I'm gonna give you a night of love making, blah blah blah, playing a song. And he's like, hey, I don't remember her name, Jamie, whatever, you know.
Samantha.
Samantha, are you awake? And he's like, oh, you seem to be are you crying? Because I found some tears. And he lifts his finger up and it's covered in blood. And then he like looks at it and he looks back and he's like, and then when the guy comes in, he's like, see you, Samantha. And he's like, I am in good trouble. Yes. And then like leaves.
Yeah.
And it's just like funny because like he's trying to save himself and everyone in it, like even when they're at the flesh fair, they're all like being destroyed and stuff. And they're all just sort of like, hey, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Can we not do this now? You know, and stuff like it's just
yeah.
they're just they're like, yeah, programs. you know?
I felt so bad for all of those robots.
Oh yeah, they were.
Oh my
they did not-
gosh.
especially
That creepy nanny one.
yeah, she was creepy,
Yeah.
but still felt bad for her because she was just smiling. She just
Yeah.
It was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was. But I was like, this is the way the robots act. It's like, oh yeah, like, and then like when Haley Joel Osment's like, I need to find the blue fairy too. He's like, yes. Wait, what is she? She's a woman. I know how to treat women. I will make her make sounds. And it's like,
Yeah.
they're like confused by each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Which
like,
is really funny.
it's just really, it's like funny, but also like if is, you know, as
It feels right.
yeah, it feels
for
right. Like
robots.
this is for a movie that's 20 years old, like just on the cusp of like you know, voice activation and like all the things that we see now, like touch screens and like, you know, I don't know,
So-
algorithms screwing things up all the time.
What confused me story-wise is they kind of made it seem like after the flesh fair that he was going to get taken in by that dad with the little girl,
Yeah.
and then he just leaves. I'm like,
Yeah, that
why
character.
did they even bother having that guy in this?
Yeah, that guy felt like he walked in out of a Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was like a single dad in a plaid shirt with, you know, nice hair and handsome face with a little daughter
Dressed like Dorothy.
dressed like Dorothy. And he's like, hey, Butch, I got something here. What is this? Oh, wow. Hey, this is off the charts. And I'm like, oh my God, this is every beginning to every Spielberg movie. And then he's just gone.
Yeah.
So after Haley Joel Osment's character gets abandoned, he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll find the blue fairy, because he heard the Pinocchio story, and the blue fairy will make me turn into a real boy. And that's when he meets Jude Law, who's like scrounging for robot parts because they like dump robot parts. So there's another really interesting scene where all these like broken robots are like sifting through like hands and severed jaws and just like Frankensteining themselves back together.
Do you think that the flesh fair people did the dumping themselves to attract the robots?
That is very possible. Because I
That
was
would make
wondering.
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, why did they just do this? Why did that dump truck just dump a bunch of stuff?
I would say almost certainly, because then immediately after,
They're right there
the
Yeah.
Flesh Fair people are right there.
in their
In
moon
a
catch
collar.
giant moon
Hot air balloon?
hot air
Hot
balloon.
air balloon?
Which looked very accurate
Yeah.
until it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and then another funny moment, like later, they're like walking and they see the actual moon, and he's like, "I'm not going to go near that." And it's like AI dumminess. I don't know.
It just
Yeah.
well, you
Like
had
he learned
mentioned
that behavior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was he didn't
Incorrect,
learn.
yeah.
Well, like you said, like the robots are not super smart.
No,
Because you kind of expect Jude Law to be more of a, because he's got to be street smart, so
Yeah.
he'll kind of know what to do.
well, but that's the thing that he is good at. Like he's a gigolo, so he's good at that. He knows how to do all the things around that. But then when he's put in a scenario he doesn't have the programming for, which is a little boy with a teddy bear saying, "I'm lost." He's like, "Let's find the blue fairy, and I'm gonna have sex with her."
Yep.
Yep.
And he's like, "Okay, sounds great." But yeah, and that's what I like about it, because it's like AI is like computers, like all this stuff is very smart until it reaches a problem it's never heard of before. Then it's utterly useless.
Well,
Yeah.
I like the whole Dr. No sequence because it's, again, because it seems like Joe seems to know what's going on. Like, oh, this is how you use Dr. No. But then he doesn't know how to say fairy tale. He says fairy's tale. And he's kind of like messing it up himself.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Haley. It wasn't just
and
David.
they don't recognize that. Like they're like, "Where's the blue fairy?" And he's like, "The blue fairy's from Pinocchio, and it's a story." And he's like, but how do we find it in real life?" And
Yeah.
you're like, "Yeah, he just told you it's a story."
It's a story.
You know
it
what I mean?
seemed like for a minute he got it because he's like, no, because fairy tale would be fact if it was real, but it says fairy tale, and then they're like, oh, let's do fact and fairy tale,
Right? Yeah.
which then is just a trap that's set to them by Dr.
Hobby.
Hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Great
So.
name.
Who is the guy who created David the
David.
robot
Yes.
After his own son.
after his own son. So David and Jude Law, Gigolo Joe,
Go to man.
go to Manhattan.
Yeah.
They say it like that because a lot of androids or robots, I think he says a lot of them try to go to the end of the world
And they never return.
and they never return. And that's
There's a
why
reason why they call it
the end of the
Man-
world. It's Manhattan.
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 And I went, "What?"
Makes no sense.
Because
Yeah.
only man can go there?
I
But
think so.
But what he had said was, "It's the end of the world. A lot of mechs go there. They never return. That's why they call it Manhattan."
I still
That
don't get
makes
it.
no sense.
If someone gets it, they have to tell us.
Because men return.
He didn't
Mecha
say
don't
that.
return. Well, yeah, but that's the implication.
Is it?
I don't think so.
He's saying Mecha go there and they don't return. That's why
So
it's
it's
called,
not called-
Manhattan.
Not
And not
Manhattan.
Mechahattan?
I don't know. I'm just trying.
Okay.
Sometimes things are dumb.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great.
So honestly, as soon as they get into the helicopter,
But like, would Gigolo Joe be good at making a?
No, I don't know. Yeah.
I do like how Gigolo Joe is dumb, kind of, but he
Yes.
knew how to fly a helicopter.
Well,
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
In case
Yeah.
he has to make love to a woman while flying
while
a
flying a
helicopter.
helicopter.
Yeah.
They yeah
That's something they gave him.
yeah.
that's where the movie loses me. Is as soon as they get in the helicopter, they go to Manhattan, and they're able to find
I'm sorry. Where?
Manhattan,
Yes. Where the
Sorry.
lions cry.
where the lions cry.
Where the lions weep tonight.
I hate you, Phil. They find the he thinks it's a blue fairy, and then he finds himself. It's another copy of David, and he fucking murders him.
Yeah,
Yep.
he beats him over the head with a lamp.
He's very angry.
Yeah, because
he
he's
thinks
the,
he's unique.
yeah.
And then Gigolo Joe makes the smartest choice we've seen in the movie thus far, and
Yeah.
he just runs.
he's like, oh,
It's like,
bye.
"I'm taking your teddy bear."
We see him again in a bit, but
And I'm
like
getting
he
outta
just
here.
he goes to leave.
Yeah.
And then the doctor comes out and he's just like, hey, don't worry about that. And yeah, it's this kid just wants his mom to love him, and everyone keeps saying to him, hey, you're special, you're unique, you're one of a kind. He's like, I don't care about any of that. I just want my mom to love me.
Well, so at the very beginning of the movie, we meet Dr. Hobbyist, and he's talking about creating the first human intelligence, or artificial intelligence, rather, that can love, right? And somebody raises their hand. It's like, okay, so you're teaching this artificial intelligence to love, but what responsibility do we have to love it back? Which is like, I was like, that's the thesis of this entire movie. And that's sort of, you're highlighting another thing where he's like, I just want to be with my mom. And Dr. Hobbyist is like, he doesn't see that he doesn't have any responsibility, you know what I mean? To love this robot that he created.
That looked like his child.
That looked like his child and was going to potentially revolutionize artificial intelligence. He didn't he didn't take responsibility and show it love either.
Yeah.
And because of that, David's like, I'm getting out of here. And by getting out of here, I mean, I'm falling off the building. Right? That's what he does next.
Yeah.
He
He
jumps
falls off the building. Jude Law goes down to save him. And he's like, hey, Jude Law, the actor, I just saw the blue fairy under the water. I have to go. And then the cops come and start to take Jude Law away. And he's like, I, Jude Law, tell you, a small robot,
Yes.
to go find
The blue fairy. And then he says,
And then he hits the submarine button on the
Helicopter.
subcopter.
which was like, well, that's nice.
And then Jude Law gets sucked up by the cops. And then the subcopter goes down and finds the blue fairy, which is a Coney Island ride, Pinocchio themed Coney Island ride with a
I wouldn't call it
statue.
I was going to say, I don't know if it was a ride, but there was certainly...
There
guess
was
there's
like a
attraction.
Ferris wheel, but
Yeah.
it wasn't, I don't know. Yeah, an attraction. And so he sets up shop in his subcopter right in front of the blue fairy statue.
Well, before that, the Ferris wheel falls on the subcopter, which means that they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So he starts praying to the blue fairy, saying, make me a real boy. And he does that for 2,000 years.
Yeah. And then he wakes up.
And then he wakes up.
This is where it got real weird. Like, weirder than a dark.
Well, so first off, like, the narrator popped its head back up, popped its voice back in because
Yeah.
it had shown
He's
at
like,
the very beginning.
You guys are still here?
And he's like, yeah, he's like, and then the little boy waited. And I was like, oh, I forgot about you. And so they're like 2,000 years later, and then a QB block thing flies by, and inside it are aliens.
Not aliens.
Oh, something. Yeah. If George Lucas made this movie, those wouldn't have been aliens.
They're actually not aliens.
They're not.
No, it's the mecha. They've evolved over the last 2,000 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. That has to be.
I'm looking for confirmation.
I
from
mean,
you
look
guys.
it up on the Wikipedia, probably.
Oh,
I guarantee
well, they
it's
look
the mecha.
okay. If you're
They
gonna
look
make,
like aliens.
okay,
But if you
don't
look
make-
inside, they look not
So-
alien-y.
yeah, that might be right. They might be like an advanced, like robotic life form. And if that's the case, I don't hate the ending as much.
It's 100% the mecha.
But
I can
honestly, if
guarantee
you're like, hey, let's make our future robot creatures look like something, you have to silence the guy who says, let's make them look like tall grays. Because everyone's gonna think
That
they're
they're
aliens.
That's fair. That's a very fair criticism to level against
And also,
this.
you
Okay.
can't make tall grays appear.
Phil is right.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
the mechas.
But it's also a Steven Spielberg movie. So the second they showed up, I was
Yeah.
like, of course this is aliens.
It's the
They look
only-
like aliens.
I think the only reason I got it was that like a scene or two scenes before, Jude Law says something like, they made too many of us too quickly to know what to do with us.
Yeah.
And in the end, they'll be dead and it'll just be us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
So at the end, I'm like, well, these have to be the robots because why would it just randomly be aliens? Where are the mecha on this planet?
Okay.
We were told by Gigolo Joe that they would always be here.
We all jumped to aliens, though.
Wow, I
I
feel
really
so
did.
much better.
I,
Thank you, Phil.
I really hated that when
Yeah.
aliens showed up. You didn't see my face?
Oh no! I saw and I remembered these scenes and I was like, well, I know who's gonna love this. this guy.
Yeah, I know.
And then you did.
I hated it. Well, so anyways, so 2,000 years later, and then the not aliens are like, David, you're the most important thing that's ever existed because you touched a human once. We want to do you a huge favor by giving you your mother, but know this. If she comes back, she'll only be alive for a little while. Oh, wait, never mind. We're not going to give you your mother. We're going to tell you that we can't give you your mother because we need part of her to be around in order to give you your mother. Never mind, Teddy's got the part of your mother that we need because you cut her hair off, and Teddy kept this 2,000 years. Not sure how a bear kept a lock of hair inside his non-pockets. Maybe he sewed it into himself, which is another thing we're going to talk about later, Teddy. Right?
Yeah.
No, it was weird. He kept like stitching up his own holes.
Yeah,
It was weird.
He kept I'm just putting your hair in
It's
me.
like Rambo.
Yeah, it's even though they weren't aliens, which makes it better, but this part it started to get, I was like, okay, you invented a problem, then you immediately solved it. Great. And then they're like, and then he's like, there's another problem. We can bring these people back using space-time stuff, but we can only do it for one day because their space-time stuff gets used up in the one day, so we can never do it again. So you get one day with your mom. And I was just like, whoa, what? You know what I mean? Like, it felt so weird at the end. Like, it went from like, it felt too much like a narrative device. Suddenly we went from like a movie that was like going like, what if we created AI that loved? What would happen? You know, ones if we gave it to a family who kind of sucked. You know, and they like kind of brought it out to its logical conclusion, but like this felt like okay, so we can't actually make the blue fairy real, but what if we did? Because that would serve as a good narrative structure for the end of this movie, and doesn't really fit with us going like, let's just see this. No, to its logical conclusion, what would happen is he would be crushed by the thing. He'd be praying to the blue fairy until he turned off. That's how that movie should have. You know what I mean? Like, but instead he got this one final like wish at the end, which felt that to me felt very. You know what I mean? Like,
So he does wish to have her back,
yeah,
and he has the best day ever with her, and then she goes to sleep and she doesn't come back, and then he goes and has a dream for the first time. So he's a real boy now, according to the movie.
yeah.
So is that actually her?
Well, to me, it got real weird at the end.
My theory is it wasn't her because it just seemed like they were kind of like in his mind in the coding of it.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing. They were like
Projecting
in his
everything.
house. Well, that was because he was in a house, and you're like, oh, they're like doing some brain mindy manipulation,
Yeah.
and then the camera like panned, and they were like all looking down this disc that was the inside of the house, and you're like, oh, they're really doing some mindy manipulation thing. But then they're like, Teddy's actually here, and he actually has the hair, and I'm like, so this is real. What's going on?
Let me try and stretch something.
Sure.
So before Gigolo Joe goes into the murdered woman's place, he changes his hair, and he doesn't just change it visually. It isn't just that he's like a hologram. He puts like a hologram of hair up. He changes what his hair looks like, both in color and the hairstyle. 2,000 years of advancing on that sort of like matter manipulation.
Sure.
I think they have built his
Yeah.
house from his memories. They are actually in a recreation of his house. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in his head at this point. I think all of that is actually happening in like physical space.
And I think my issue is that all of this is like at the end of the movie, and it's sort of like you're like, when you do that in a movie, you're sort of asking your audience to go along and accept a bunch of impossible things at the beginning of your movie, right? You say, you know, we're in robot land where robots do this and that. You know what I mean? and like this is how the logic of this movie and the science of this movie works. So to like shove all that at the very end with a brand new sort of like this is how this new version of robots work, you know, sort of leaves you going like ooh, a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyone else kind of agree with that? Where you're like, this is a lot of other things happening all at the end, and it's sort of like it just felt like it was.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is it was a good. It felt like 20 minutes.
It was too long.
It was way too long.
It was like the movie already ended, and they're like, "Oh, as an afterthought, here's this thing. Here's this epilogue that should, in our like what we're used to now, be like." A post-credit scene that would be a hell of a long post-credit scene, but like it just didn't feel like it should be part of like the main narrative.
Or you know, honestly, what it should have been was just like if it happened at all and he it just like took way too long. You know, if he unfroze, it should have been left a little bit more open-ended, where it's just like, oh, it's 2,000 years where we've evolved, robots have evolved, and we're waking him up. And we're going to give him one last gift. Like he wakes up in a hyperbolic time chamber. Not the right thing. What am I thinking of? Bantha Tank. And they're like, hey, what's your one last? I'd like to see my mom. Well, we can bring her back. Okay. But it won't really be your mom or something like that. And then that's the end of the movie. You know, if they want that happy ending. But it just felt like this was like, he's like, I'm going to go make her coffee. And then we see him go and make her coffee and come back and give her coffee. And I'm like, why am I watching this?
Almost like it should have been the Monsters, Inc. ending. Where the door opens and he reacts, and that's all you see.
Right, yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then, I don't know. I don't think it ruined the movie. Like, I don't feel like the whole movie is like, wow, throw it all out. You know what I mean? But it was just like, the ending, you're like...
I liked it.
You liked it?
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to say,
I
thought you
ending.
liked it. Will, you seem like you're in the middle on the whole thing.
The ending, yeah, I mean, I feel like structurally and narratively it feels so tacked on, like and that it's like hanging on by like it would be so easy to just snap that right off and the movie would be probably better for it, you know? And that's my feeling.
I really think that this is a case of Spielberg trying way too hard to stick with a vision that another person had. And so I feel like if he wasn't beholden to Kubrick, he could have maybe done his own thing. And it would have been a completely different, not a completely different movie, but just more cohesive.
Yeah.
This was the time of DVD extras. That should have been a DVD extra.
Well, so honestly,
And
how
still
I
modern.
Alternate ending.
how
Yeah.
I would have rewritten it would have been like, we watch David sit there in silence and all that time, and then as his brain is shutting down, as he's powering down, he starts hallucinating, and he gets to spend one last day as his mom, like as he's like basically dying, and it's all sort of like a dream, not really happening, but it feels real to him, and then he shuts down forever. That's the end. That's how I would have ended it.
Yeah,
and you still get that sort of blue fairy moment where he gets to spend a day with his mom.
Yeah, I think for me, the theme I'm getting from the movie is, what does it mean to be human? And I think what the movie is positing is that what it means to be human is to try and answer the question, what does it mean to be human?
Yeah.
The fact that he gets that option at the end to actually see her one last time, knowing that he will lose her again and for the rest of eternity. I mean, I think he goes to sleep in dreams, and then now he's a real boy, so maybe he grows up and dies, whatever. For the rest of his life, he will still be seeking that. That will not satisfy it. I don't think he gets that with a hallucination.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm kind of okay with it, with that idea. But that being said, I just like, there was a lot of weird explaining at the end of this movie. I think that was the other thing, was like, this whole movie hasn't really been holding your hand through what we're watching all that much. There's some explanation, but this at the end, he's like, well, they also tell you the moral at the end, which I don't like, when he's like, well, we've realized that the most important, human beings are like the most important, most special thing in the world because they want and they desire. You know what I mean? And I was just like, okay, well, thanks for telling me that, movie.
Jack, did we get your official like or dislike?
I liked it. I did. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was fun. I agree with Will 100% about the ending.
I win.
You win. You're the winner today. You get to edit a podcast.
I get that every week.
But no, I enjoyed it. It held up to what I remember, or what I do remember of it. I remember liking, but I think I remember the pool scene,
Yeah.
which is a terrifying thing to remember, which I actually don't remember him holding the other kid and falling in. I just remember him being at the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
And then I remember him being alone. So like in my brain, he was in the pool and they just left him there, and he was there for a really long time. And then Jude Law finds him and helps him find the blue fairy.
Jude Law just breaks into their backyard.
Yeah. And then in my
Oh, a pool for me to have sex with. What's that? A little boy.
I remember the teddy bear. And then the only other like main thing I remember was him being underwater. I could have swore I remember a scene where like Teddy and him are like they're in the what do they call it? A subdicopter?
Subdicopter is what I'm calling
And
it.
it's like it shows years past, and I could have swear it was like Teddy like my battery is dying, and he's like still just praying to the blue fairy. Like I feel like I remember that scene, and I don't know why, but that obviously wasn't in
Director's cut.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the alien scene, well, the mecha scene, but I am deathly terrified of aliens. So my parents were probably like, "You've watched enough of this movie. This part's probably not.
This is the end of the
where
movie.
we draw the line
Yeah.
here."
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But they're robots, so you don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Even though they look like aliens.
I did read the synopsis of the short story. And really the first part of this movie is really just that, because it's about you don't know it, but it's a robot boy in this family.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. And the mother can't imprint on him. Like she doesn't love him. So it just seems like it's a mother. It's the same situation where you have to like ask to get a kid and wait for it. And there's Teddy there, and the same kind of things where he draws all these incomplete thoughts down, and weirdly aggressive towards Teddy as not being real, and being jealous of the attention that she gives Teddy as opposed to him. And then she comes home one day and she's like, "Oh, we got one of the vouchers, so we're getting a real boy." And that's just how it ends, is the kid does, like, the robot doesn't know what's about to happen. Is he's gonna get tossed out.
Dang.
Yep.
They adapted all of this out of that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hmm.
Huh.
Hmm.
Hmm. Huh.
Well, what did you think of the movie? Did you like it?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely enjoyed 90% of it. I mean,
Yeah.
the ending was it. I do love it when a movie's like, "All right, Will, here's all the stuff you're not going to like. We're going to put it right here in one spot so you can identify it easily."
Well, if you were to, let's say, give it a rating,
Oh,
what would
oh
you
my
give it?
gosh.
Wait, do you mean alphabetical or numerical?
Both. Why not both?
She's a genius.
All right, so I'm going to give this movie.
Huh.
So I think it's definitely not like a movie that I'm like, "Wowie kazowie, everyone watch." Not that I'm ever like that with any movie.
Oh man. I swear on my life I will find a movie that you are wowie kazowie everybody needs to watch this about.
That's what you, instead of the wallet in your wallet, that's what that should be. What's
what are you
the
wowie kazowie about?
Uh-oh.
Oh God.
Writing that down.
I'm very tired. So I'm going to give this movie a 4.25. He without Sim cast the first stone out of 5.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh God, hated that line. But no, yeah, 4 point, because it is a good movie. I think it's
That's higher than I thought you'd give it.
yeah, it's very competent. I love the future stuff. I think Steven Spielberg is a great director, and a lot of it's creepy when it's creepy and weird. It's just that ending. I was like, I don't know what we're doing here. That just confused me. Okay, I'll stop talking about.
One thing I think is important to note is the CGI held up.
Oh
which
yeah, looks
is
really
not,
good. Yeah.
not usually true for
Yes.
most movies
Un-
from this time period.
I will say until that ending,
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel
no,
like
that's fair.
it drops off in quality by like
1,000,000%.
10 degrees.
That might have been the other thing is like
yeah.
these very clearly CGI'd like super beings
Yeah.
in like a black ship that just like dissipates and goes everywhere. I'm like,
But-
what
But
even?
Teddy,
But up until then,
Yeah.
to your point, like
Yeah.
it really, really holds up. The opening scene where Dr. Hobby is talking about making whatever,
Yeah.
and he has a
Robot
there, and he opens her face.
Yeah.
It is so unsettling because it looks like he opens her face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then pulls
Yeah.
out a cube, and then Teddy's CGI looked really good through
think that was
most of the
puppetry.
movie.
Yeah.
I would say 100%.
It was definitely a
that's
mix
puppetry.
of well, it was a mix because it was a mix
Okay.
of puppetry, but when he was like walking occasionally it was CGI. But he did that right thing where he's like, this is real, this is fake, and we're gonna blend them together in such a way that you can't really tell when
Yeah,
this and this, you know.
there was a lot of really good practical things in
All right.
here that I really liked.
So I'm the only one who's given a rating.
Oh yeah, I guess we
Yeah,
could do.
sorry.
We can keep
Phil, do you
going.
wanna- Phil?
Yeah, 5 stars.
Okay.
5 out of 5 mom spaghetti.
There you go.
I loved this movie. This movie hit all the points I wanted it to hit.
I knew you were gonna love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited when we switched to this movie, and I've been talking about it since then because I remember finding this to be an absolutely terrifying movie as a kid. And it has the pool scene has stuck with me. The entire ending with the mechas 2,000 years in the future has stuck with me.
Oh really?
Some of the Jude Law stuff, but to be honest, a lot of the middle kind of gets blurry.
See, that's all. I must have fallen asleep watching
But
this
like,
movie.
I absolutely loved this film.
Wow.
You could say, wowie kazowie, y'all got to see this. I feel that way about this movie.
Yeah. See, that doesn't work for the what's in your wallet because usually I'm like, hey, this is just what I'm doing. I'm not like super excited about it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Jack.
I'll unwrite it down.
I want to hear yours first.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 Jude Law's mechanical penis.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm not the lowest. That's good.
Yeah. So my scale is weird because I don't really have an established one, and I'm just like, I probably wouldn't rewatch this one again, but it was
These-
good, so I'll give it a 3.
the other 2 episodes you've been on in this month is going to establish your baseline, and this is now what people are going to judge you for.
That's fine.
People.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't you mean person?
And it's by person. Do you mean you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I meant our one
mean-
listener.
I mean,
Oh.
absolutely me. Anyways,
Craigerton.
I'm gonna give this
Krog.
4 out of 5. David the Highlander, because there can only be one.
Nice.
Thank you, Phil, for laughing at that.
You know they're not all Highlanders.
Okay, sorry.
There literally is
It's
only
just
one
one.
Highlander.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's Lamont. What's his name?
LeVar?
Oh, because
Lamont.
he was.
I
He's
am
like, there
from
could only be one of me.
Scotland.
Yeah, so
I
he
got
killed
it.
him. Okay.
That
It was a
sounds
delay.
exactly
I'm sorry.
like
That's
him.
on
That's all right.
me.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, the Highlander.
But yes, the joke still stands and I
Okay.
enjoyed it.
But the same reasons everyone else gave, my scale's just different than everyone else's. So
What's
sorry.
your scale?
A lot of the movies I watch are 4s, honestly.
Okay.
Between 3 and 4. I have to like absolutely love
You
it.
got a wowie kazowie.
I had a wowie kazowie. Like Evil Dead, The Thing, Alien, Jurassic Park. Those are like 5s. Easy.
Okay.
And then the ones that are like really, really good, but there's just like, like The Third Man. That's a 4.5. Most of them are 4s where it's like, I know this is a good movie and I enjoyed it, but it's not perfect. And then 3 is like, I'm probably not going to watch this again, but I at least enjoyed the ride. Like the new Jumanji movies. I put those in the 3.5 range.
Okay. I'd put those at 5s. I love those.
Those are so fun.
I didn't see the second one
I liked
yet,
them,
but-
they're just like, I don't know. I wouldn't go out of my way to own them. So,
Mhm.
like I said, it's a different.
Okay.
Yeah, but what can you really own anyways, Craig?
Shut up, Phil. Get off this podcast. You're a bad guest.
So, what are we watching next week?
Yeah, what's next week?
Yeah, what
host?
do we
Yeah,
doing?
Jack.
Here, let me pull up the list that you wrote on your phone and definitely not my phone.
No, I remember it is oh, The Fifth Element. I keep forgetting this one. I've never seen The Fifth Element, and I know it's a cult classic of sci-fi.
Yes.
It's a something.
I love this movie. I have
Yeah.
a fun memory of this movie of watching it at Phil's house when he shattered his ankles.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't have the same memory because I was messed up.
That wasn't the first time I watched it. It was just on TV, and I was
Yeah.
waiting for my mom to come pick me up.
And I was just probably in pain and groaning and
Yeah, you stopped talking
really,
to me
really
like
high on
a
whatever
couple hours
painkillers.
before that. Yeah. Anywho, it's one of my wife's favorite movies, and it's one of my favorite movies. It is one of those movies that it's like a comic book come to life. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just everything in it. It's very Star Warsy in that sense, where
Okay.
it's like, you know, it's funny. It's mostly like it's a movie that's
Ooh.
funny and like action packed, but like it.
It's very Valerian in the City of a Thousand Worlds, but good.
Okay.
Oh.
I was really confused by that reference because that's a very bad
Just in
movie.
the sense where like visually that movie's awesome.
Yeah, chemistry-wise, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's that movie looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But
But no, literally, it. I am shocked that it just seems like it's an anime. It's like based off.
Yes.
There's like big flamboyant characters and like big swings and lots of prosthetics and
Oh, you
Yeah.
know who's really serious in this movie? And I'm glad they did a serious turn is Chris Tucker.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been waiting
Really
for
nailed
him
it.
to just like, yeah.
but yeah, no, this is a great movie.
Okay.
But again, it's not like hard science.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want that. I like sci-fi where
It's no
it just
AI.
like is pretty much like also does that line with like fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It very much feels like that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
my sci-fi when it makes me think questions.
I mean, I like both. There's
I don't.
there's a time and place for both.
I also like
But I
both.
usually find the questions to be a little bit of like, yeah, this is a bad idea, guys.
Oh yeah, like this one, like
Yeah.
making children AI.
Yeah, I was like, this is a bad idea. You've made a bad idea. I wouldn't have made this choice.
Anyone else think it's not believable that that crowd of people wouldn't have liked to see that robot boy?
I honestly, I feel like it worked. I feel like I believed that because
There's no other
acted
kids.
there's no other kids.
Yeah.
They've established that multiple times. That there's no other AI kids. He also, unlike every single other robot that they destroyed there, he asked them not to.
Yeah,
He, like, begged
for his
them
li-
not
and all
to.
the other ones like literally didn't scream. They just were like,
They were just like, "Hey, I can keep working."
I can. Yeah, you don't need to do this. Oh, darn it, you are. Yeah, but I kind of believe that, but also at the same time, I feel like my faith in humanity recently and for the past 4 or 5 years has been completely wrecked and shredded to pieces. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
where they put they're very prescient about putting a Trump rally in the middle of this
Yeah.
movie.
It was weird. He did make an appearance though, which
Yeah.
was nice.
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson is Trump.
All right,
Oh, don't tell him that
let's
though.
Yeah.
let's end this, please.
Yeah, please.
Thank you
Actually,
for
let's tack 20 minutes on.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for liking and subscribing to the podcast. We are on Instagram and Facebook. And, if you want to tell us more about how right our opinions are at all times,
I'm
but
into
only
that.
one of us.
yes.
So far, that completely is the opposite of my experience on the internet. But all right, this episode was brought to you by Veronica Norland.
Who's
Thanks, Veronica.
that?
I don't know. She's
I'm going to
just some
tell her
lady.
you said that.
She listens, so she'll know.
Sorry, if you're interested in helping support us, maybe hearing your name shouted out on the podcast, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/mumbleandtrug.
If you like what you heard, consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Google Play. That's all for this episode. I'm Jack Kessel.
I'm Will Chodas.
I'm Craig Norland.
And I'm Phil Castle.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to.
But also watch this movie. Please watch this movie.
We did tell them to. That was the point of this week's podcast.
Yeah, but watch it again.
Yeah, watch it on an alien's face, though.
Yeah. Actually, find a unfinished robot's face and put your face into it, and then watch a movie through those eyes.
That's how I watch all my movies.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you don't see this face on my face?
You don't see through your own face and know that it's a face and think about that sometimes?
I think about that all times.
I have to go.
Movies with My Best Friend Phil is brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions, the creators of very serious video production for very serious clients. This episode was recorded and edited by Will Chodas. Research provided by Phil Kessel and Craig Norland. Cover art was designed by Will Chodas and Phil Kessel provided likeness. For more content like this, visit mumbleandshrug.com.
Every 5,000 years.
Remove the shield.
When the 3 planets are in eclipse, the black hole like a door is open. Evil comes, spreading terror and chaos.
There's nothing that can stop this.
There is only one thing.
Perfect.
The Mondachiwan have in their possession the only weapon to defeat evil. 4 elements. Gathered around a 5th. They're here.
Hello.
Corbin, sweetheart. You got broken fingers, you can't punch my number?
Hi, Mom.
Welcome on. Have a nice day.
Major Dallas, you're selected for a mission of the utmost importance.
What mission?
Save the world.
Is that thing solid?
Unbreakable.
Good.
Word of the stone.
I don't know. And even if I did know, I wouldn't tell somebody like you.
There's nowhere else to go.
Who in God's name would do such a thing?
Hang on.
Brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions.